Hello, Bounce Back community. This is your boy who doesn't really know his name yet. Yeah, I'm really confused about that. I want you to let me know, family, if I should call myself Heraclio, Pastor Johnny. I don't think I want to be. I'm not Pastor Johnny here. I'm Pastor Johnny on Fridays on our ASC Brooklyn page. All right, so I'm confused. Either I'm Dr. Wyatt, Heraclio. Paulette wants to call me Doc. Tell me what you think we should be called on the show, okay? Because I'm having an identity crisis. Either way, welcome back to the Bounce Back podcast. Today's episode is all about the power of community, right? Because none of us were meant to do life all by ourselves. Amen. So it's powerful. It's gonna be a powerful episode. Excuse me, I have a little throat soreness. I'm a mess right now.
And that's right. I'm Miss Wyatt. That's what my people call me, Miss Wyatt, Paulette Wyatt, and I'm so glad to be here with you today. We got a wonderful show for you, but before we even go any further, I need you to click that subscribe button. I need you to leave a comment, share it with a friend, and hit the notification button.
Don't
forget to like. Don't forget to like. Hit the notification button so anytime we drop a brand new episode, you'll be the first to know. All right? So we have a wonderful show for you tonight. The topic tonight is finding your village. It's a great topic. It's something I'm experiencing right now. And we're going to talk about why having the right people around you is important for your personal growth, your emotional resilience, and even your faith journey. So let's get into it.
Amen. Yeah, so whether you're feeling disconnected or have a sore throat like me, whether you're struggling to find support or just wondering how to strengthen the relationships you already have, this episode is for you. So let's get started.
So why are we going to start with our first segment? Why does community matters? Why is community so important? Why do we even need a village?
So I think community matters just on the basic level, because I think we were in our DNA and our anthropology, we were made for community. You know, that's how man survived in the I gotta be careful as a pastor, but in the evolutionary process, we weren't able to, like, we don't have big claws and strong jaws like lions. We don't have trunks like elephants. We're not fast like cheetahs. And so what makes us awesome, what makes humans powerful, is connection. And so the Bible speaks about that on so many levels. I'm not gonna get all biblical on you that, but we were made to be social. We are the most social animal in the world, and the more you put us together, and then we could do anything. So that's number one. Number two, life is unpredictable, and I think they're both connected. You know, life is unpredictable. We don't know what's coming from one. It's more predictable today than it was 10 to 20,000 years ago, but life is unpredictable nonetheless. And having your tribe, having your people, having the right people around us helps us to navigate. We won't always have success, but I need to know there's someone to help me understand what I'm going through. Someone to help me navigate challenges, someone who helps me celebrate victories. And then someone is there to help me grow stronger in the process. And so that's been, particularly as we talk about being at the stage of life we're in for the Bounce Back community, us Gen Xers, we need each other. We need to give each other help to navigate the challenges that we face.
Yeah, finding your tribe, your village is very, very important. And even as an educator, I've seen it. You can see the transformation from a little child who's been with a babysitter from the time they were infants up until they're toddlers, and the transformation that happens once they get into a classroom setting and they start connecting with other friends, classmates, and they start socializing. It's amazing the growth that you see verbally, cognitively. So even from small, you can see how community is very, very important. How it not just affects us mentally, but it also affects us physically. I even seen, like even with children, You know, you can see the difference between the oldest and the second child. Sometimes the second child tends to have a more of a broader vocabulary than the first child because of that, you know, connection and just the way how they interact.
I see
So,
what you did there. I see what you did there. I
so
see
we
what you did there.
so we can see
I'm the
the
firstborn over here.
importance.
She trying to throw shade. You
No,
throwing shade on
I
us
wasn't.
firstborn.
No, I wasn't.
Yes, you are.
No,
What,
no, no,
what,
no.
what number are you in the? What number are you in the birth order?
2.
You're the second one. Yeah, you throwing the second child.
No.
Shade.
Studies actually show
Studies
though,
show,
but
right.
it's because of. But it's not because the second child is better. It's because they learn so much from the first child. So we couldn't be the superstars we are without the firstborns, you know. So thank you.
Our job is to help you be superstars.
No,
Okay.
but that
I think so.
community helps
My
us to
brother
grow.
my second brother, my number 2 might agree with you. Yeah, very similar in some ways. Yeah. Anyway.
Shout out to number 2s.
Yeah, whatever. All right. Yeah. So tell me what else the studies show?
Studies actually show that strong social connections improve your mental health. It makes you stronger. It increases resilience and even extends your lifespan. From Yeah, it even extends your lifespan. So people who are engaged, who socialize, it helps you cognitively. I know even with Alzheimer's patients or people who suffer with dementia, you know, they have different games and activities that deals with connecting and communicating and integrating with people to help strengthen their cognitive skills. So yeah, so
Wow.
it does strengthen their connections.
That's awesome. Yeah. I was in the studies too. I think we shared some of this stuff. I was surprised at this quote from somebody named Stephen Crane. He's a master of sociology or social engagement or something. He has an MS. He's a Stanford social engagement research scholar. Listen to what he says. He says our relationships form a lattice of support. Now, lattice is like one of those things you know when you're planting tomatoes or you're planting grapes, you put something in the ground. That's a lattice. It could be a circular lattice. It could be just a straight board, but something that allows the plant to grow as it to hold on to as it grows, so it doesn't lean over. That's a lattice, right?
Okay.
Our relationships form a lattice of support that constitutes the largest single factor in overall well-being of most people. I was shocked because all this time we thought it was eating right, exercise, right? But the truth is, it's community. Relationships form a lattice of support that constitutes the largest single factor in the overall well-being of most people. We need to prioritize showing up for one another. Wow, this is big news in a world that teaches individualism.
Right.
Right. We capitalism relies on radical individualism. Because in order for me to take all your money, I gotta isolate you and tell you you need things instead of people. Oh my God.
Yes.
But when I learned that imagine if we had a revolution of needing people. And so it doesn't mean that I need the latest gear. I just need to connect to my friend.
Yes.
I need my community. I don't need gear. I don't need a car. I don't need the latest car. I might need a car. I don't need the latest, most expensive car. I don't need that new Tesla. Please stop buying Teslas. No, we are not buying Teslas anymore. Let me stop. But no, seriously. No, I don't need a six bedroom house. I don't need all the things. I need relationships. And that's gonna give me longevity. So this is big. This was crazy. I was reading also. And whenever you feel like jumping in, Paulette, you just let me know.
Well, let me say one thing. If you notice, when they want to break down a prisoner, what do? They put him in isolation, solitary confinement. They disconnect him from the community. So that alone should tell you the impact of connectivity.
Right.
So what's on this?
That loneliness can be a punishment.
Yes.
Yeah, in prison. So yeah, just it's a little bit more what you was talking about, right? So I was this is what got me: social connection and longevity, right? That there is a connection between community and living long. right?
Yes.
So individuals with strong and secure relationships, number one, experience increased happiness, right? So whether
Mhm.
this is in a marriage, whether this is in your sorority fraternities, whether this is on your job, whether this is your siblings, it doesn't matter the connection, but whatever that connection is, provides helps you to experience increased happiness,
Yes.
right? So that's
Yes.
number one. That makes sense, right? That being connected. But this is what got me having 50% greater chance when I have strong and secure relationships. I have a 50% greater chance of living longer compared to those with weaker social ties. Wow.
Yeah.
And I find, look, when you look in our communities, particularly Black and Brown communities, I've seen so many times where, particularly men, die early.
Mm.
And one of the reasons is loneliness, loneliness. So I've seen it over and over again. Like I look at, people in my family right now who, I'm married, thank God, and even though me and Paula be rocking and rolling at times, it's a blessing to have somebody to help you to just to help you through life, to walk through life with you, right? And I notice some of my friends who don't have it, and unless they have so strong social ties, you see the results, right? So I have loved ones in nursing homes, loved ones in healthcare facilities, and the common denominator is that they never had community. So that there's a power. They have family. If they disconnected from when you disconnect from family, when you hurt family, and you get alienated from your family, because the opposite of community is not isolation. The opposite of community is alienation.
Mm.
Oh, that'll preach. Because see, you can, or let me say this, solitude, right? So there's some wonderful benefits to solitude in itself.
Yes.
Solitude. Sometimes you want to isolate yourself or be in solitude. Really, the thing is solitude. So that's healthy. But alienation is when relationships are in disrepair and
Mm.
there's brokenness in community, and that's what you see in a lot of communities, where there's criminality. That's because power structures have placed the system of alienation, right?
Right.
So that's one of the first things we see that comes out of the story of creation.
Mm. Yes.
And when Adam and Eve did what Adam and Eve did, what broke out into all the relationships, the divine relationship, alienation,
Hmm. Hmm.
husband and wife relationship, alienation,
Right.
relationship with creation and the rest of the ecosystems, alienation. Alienation is the common theme in a
Mm.
broken. And
Wow.
so community is one of the ways in which we heal the brokenness of alienation, particular Christian community. That's why I
Right.
say that. But it's not the only one. But yeah. Okay, let me
Yeah,
stop.
it definitely extends your life. I remember many moons ago when I used to do Weight
In your other
Watchers.
life?
Hmm?
I thought you
In
were
my
talking
other
about
life.
other life. Oh, how long did you live in your other life?
Oh,
This must
being funny.
sound like you're swimming. That's funny. Go ahead.
Many moons ago when I did Weight Watchers, yes, I did Weight Watchers. Ain't no shame. One of the key factors was that Monday morning meeting. Um,
Okay.
and we had to, part of the program was meeting. And if you couldn't meet, so I did it at work. So if you couldn't meet at work, you could go on the internet and find meetings everywhere. And you didn't have to register, just show up. But the purpose and the goal was to always meet. And I remember there were some Mondays where, I misbehaved over the weekend and I knew that the weighing wasn't going to be good. But even in those moments, even though I was discouraged, the community, my Weight Watchers community, was there to support me, cheer me on, share their experiences where they kind of had setbacks, but they were able to bounce back. Um, and I remember when I did it, Weight Watchers. So some Mondays were great, and then I remember I'll never forget this. We got through Thanksgiving, and y'all know how Thanksgiving is. So everybody, we all kind of knew. Okay, well, it's not a matter of how much weight I'm gonna gain. It's not a matter of whether I'm gonna gain weight. It's how much I'm gonna gain. And I remember when I got on the scale that Monday, it I only gained like ounces. And I was, and we were all excited and everybody was cheering each other on because it wasn't as bad as we thought we was. It wasn't as bad as we thought it would be. So I just remember that community was very supportive. It was very encouraging, and they also kept me accountable. And then when life got hard, they showed up.
Mm,
So, and I think even in that, I was able to lose a good amount of weight, and that helped my health in general. And from that experience, even I don't do Weight Watchers anymore, I still learned a lot of things that I carry on in my everyday life. So I believe even that is going to help extend my life to some degree. So yeah.
amen. Amen.
Hmm.
Amen. Okay, that's so cool. The more we hear these different stories, no matter what area of life we're talking about, it seems that the one of the primary things we need to do is form relationships and connection
Yes.
and not avoid them. That's powerful. Okay, so we're called to live, like you said, in fellowship and not in isolation.
Hmm.
The Bible itself is actually even beyond this. The first Bible story I told, I'm aware that in the Bible is filled with these examples, right? So
Mm.
community is Jesus defines community, and we'll probably do that a little bit more. But Jesus defines community as where two or three are gathered together,
Mm.
right? So it's not a big gathering all the time. It's so Moses and Aaron formed community. God gave
Mm.
them this big mandate to go tell Pharaoh. You know, the purpose of community is not necessarily even to accomplish something. It is the journey toward accomplishing something.
Yeah.
It's the journey. It's about the journey, which speaks to me right now because sometimes it could get discouraging. We talked about that on Saturday in our youth leader summit that we were in this past weekend. And one of the ways that we can probably avoid discouragement, you can avoid it
That's part of life.
as part of life, but it's to focus on relationship as as opposed to accomplishment.
Mm.
That the power of life is doing things with people.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that as you remember the journey, you remember who you were on the journey with, right? So that's profound. Hopefully, you're on the journey with somebody you're enjoying the journey with, right?
Right.
But you want to enjoy. You want to. So the journey is not about it's not about the destination. It's about who you walk along the journey with, right?
Right.
So Moses had Aaron when it was time to speak to Pharaoh to strengthen each other. David had Jonathan, and Jonathan um, was able to speak life into David and let him know that what he saw in him, and Jonathan invested in David. So we invest in our friends and our loved
Hmm.
ones. And Jesus had his boys, his disciples, and he had his crew.
The
Jesus
fabulous
had his
12.
crew walking around Galilee. He had his 12. He had his crew. So none of us are meant to be alone, and it's important that we either find our person, our friend, our crew, our people,
Yeah.
right? And that's all important. Yeah. Um, so we're going to identify a village, but before that, one of the things I think we should talk about, to identify the village is what does community even mean, right? When we talk about community. So I already said Jesus tells us what we need in order to build community,
Right.
right? Two or three. But
Hmm.
what is community?
What is
Then we'll identify our community.
what is community?
I'm off script, girl. I'm off script.
Okay. So your
I
question is,
went I
what is
went off
community?
script.
That's
Yeah.
okay. We're gonna go with it. What is community? Community is a safe space.
Good. All right.
I
Nice.
believe it's a safe space. I'm gonna speak for me. For me, community is a safe space where I feel accepted, where I feel loved, where I feel where I'm accountable. So I think there's always a balance. I want people, community is a space where I can be challenged, to be better, to be stronger, to be resilient, and a space where I can journey, a space where I could I could journey through life together, a space where there's transparency, um, a space where there's joy. Sometimes there may be crying, but a space where there is love. And when I'm in community, and I always say this about my students, whenever my goal is for when they leave my classroom every day or at the end of the year, no matter what, that you know that the place that you're leaving is a place where you were loved.
Mm.
And so
Why would you
community,
leave it if you were loved?
because you got to go to first grade, baby.
Okay.
Or you got to go home to your mommy at the end of the day. But when they leave my classroom and I put them on that bus, that's the last thing I say to each of that we all say it to them. That's the last things we say to them before they get on the bus. I love you. So they know that, in that classroom family, I'm loved. And so for me, community for me is a space where I know that I'm loved and everyone in that community feels loved. And I know it sounds corny, but that's it. Now, what's community for you, Doc?
Wow, I'm listening to your answer. Your answer got me reflecting. Because some communities are not meant to be forever. Then that's powerful.
Yeah, it's not.
That's what teachers learn, huh?
And I'm very aware of that. I'm very aware that this is my classroom family for 10 months,
Mm.
you know, and so yeah, even learning that community is only for a season, so appreciating and being present with them because I only have them for 10 months. Yeah.
Wow.
So some communities are seasonal. Not every community journeys through your entire life with you. Some
Mm.
communities are seasonal. I'll be graduating in May. We're all friends, but our cohort will be breaking up at the end of May. We spent 2 years together, and so that's going to be ending. So that's one thing I've learned too, and I've had to learn to accept that not every community that I'm a part of is going to be, it's going to be there all my life. You know, you transition just like life transitions, your communities transitions too.
It doesn't, and sometimes it doesn't mean that it ends, but it has a new iteration. Because like you
Right.
have your cohort is not gonna have the same mechanism, I would say, that keeps you together from week to week, which is the class
Right.
time. But you're gonna stay connected to some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I've
you'll
had
stay,
with my
yeah,
undergrad cohort.
you'll keep
Yeah.
the connection.
You're
So
right.
you won't have the same. The community won't look the same, but the connections, some of them will be stronger
Right.
as you do the work to keep it connection. So one of the what is a community for me? Man, that's a good question. Um, community for me. Um, I'm gonna give you the definition first, right? Because
Okay.
this is great book. I was when I was doing my doctorate. I got this book because I
Bringing it
mean,
real close, real
real
close.
close, so y'all can see and off the
There we go.
flashes.
Right there, right there, right there. Perfect.
Belong, right?
Wow.
I don't know how to say her name. Radha Agrawal, co-founder and CEO of this thing called Daybreaker. She talks
Mhm.
about her journey,
Mm.
and that community really belong. It's about belonging, having
Yes.
this kind of sense that I'm somebody here. I'm known here. So community is being known and
Yes.
being nurtured,
Yes.
being known, being nurtured, being loved, and like what you said, being safe and secure. Um, I'm trying to think about what it. So I love that definition. I love community. I love the idea of creating community, right? So for me though, I'm a person that like to build. I'm a builder by nature. I don't think I've always done a good job of it. I think my best building job was when we built that choir a long time ago. So even though you didn't like your choir experience with me when I was the choir director,
I
I
know
think it was a good.
they
I
don't
think
like that
yeah, you didn't like it, but it's all good. I didn't like being in
experience.
my choir. Well, I didn't like being in my choir. But for me, that gives me out of all the things I've ever done, that's given me the most pride
Mm.
because it was all about building community with a bunch of young people that were crazy. I love my crazy young people from back in those days, and we stay connected to some degree. And
Yeah.
some of them are in the Navy now. Some of them have kids, and others. I hear from them from time to time. I might marry one soon. They come back.
Yeah.
So for me, I like the journey of forming the community. Actually, there's something enriching about being a part of experiencing community.
Yes.
Right. So it's a thing that gives us a feeling, but it's also an experience.
Yes.
So the experience of community. I remember when we were in the Bronx, that Bronx church community. Oh, it was something about raising our kids together, right? We raised our kids. Big Mama Sharon was there. Big sister, she's my big sister, and I miss her
Yeah.
so much until today, right? So, amen. But she was there through all our experiences, helping her. Her kids helped us raise our kids, and now today we're some of those kids got hers. So we wouldn't have been able to do it without them. I mean, we would have been able to have been somebody else. Those are the people God put in our lives. And so to me,
Yes.
the big thing is about if I'm experiencing life, it becomes the matrix for which to understand our experiences, right, and help us define what we're going through. So that's the power of, to me, that's what community means. Okay.
Mm.
So, amen. So I don't know if you want to add anything about that.
No, that was
Okay.
beautiful. But I love that. Read that definition one more time for me.
This definition of what I
Yes.
said.
What her definition
Her
said.
definition is simply belonging. That you find
Belonging.
your people and it's a place where you belong and where you're known, right?
Yeah.
Where people know you and still like you,
Yes.
right?
That's the
Because it's
perfect
one,
definition. Yeah.
yeah. Because see, it's one thing. It's in your community when people know your strengths and your weaknesses and
Mm-hmm.
still love you.
Love you.
It's about love. I might
Right.
not like you all the time, but I still love you, right?
Mm.
So I have people like again my Bronx community. Sometimes you be on the verge of just we don't really cuss each other out because we Christians, but some of them be cussing because the young people need some sanctification, right? But
We have been cussed out.
yeah, but we come back for some more because we love them and we
And we
accept.
knew that we were
So
loved and they knew they were loved.
right, so that's acceptance. Acceptance is when
Yeah.
people know you completely and still are willing to. Um, and so some of our let me finish my sentence. My wife says I don't always finish my sentences. So and just simply still accept it, right, for who we are. And even in our deepest friendships now, we have friends that are hot messes. And if they were here doing the podcast, they say something about us right now. But couldn't live without our hot mess friends
And I wouldn't
because
change them.
we wouldn't change it for the world. Because all of us have a hot mess just waiting to come out. Okay. All right. So why? So we know why community is important. We know what community is. How do we identify the right people to have in our village? I'm gonna turn to my co-host.
How do we identify the right people within our village, because that's very important, right? So this is the key. Not all relationships are life-giving. I'm gonna say that one more time. Not all relationships are life-giving. Some may try to take your life.
Mm.
So we want to make sure that we have relationships that are
Say that
life-giving.
again. You said some relationships might want to take your life. What does that mean? People want to kill you? That's not a relationship.
They're not, no, they don't want to necessarily kill you, but some relationships can be draining.
Okay. And some of them are important relationships too. It's not like we can get out of those relationships.
No.
Okay.
Some of them you're trapped in and they can be draining. Yeah. And so, but not all relationships are life.
She said,
Not
I'm dreaming
not
too.
all relationships are life
It's all
giving.
good.
But your village should include people who, one, support and encourage your growth. You want to be around people that support you in everything that you do, support you when you succeed, support you when you fail, and encourage your growth. I know sometimes, I have some people, like even with Doc and I, we go on this weight journey, and some weekends I'm like, ugh, I don't like the number when I weigh in, and he encourages me, or I encourage him, and you say, well, it's not the number you want, but at least there's movement, so that encouragement, that growth, that's very important.
Movement in the right direction.
Yes, move it in the right direction. So you want to be around people who support and encourage your growth. Two, you want people who are going to hold you accountable in love. I think that's very, very important, because it causes you want to be around people who challenge you. challenge you to be better, challenge you to be stronger, challenge you to continue to evolve and learn more about yourself and who you are. And so that takes people holding you accountable. Um, I think that's really important. I think it's important too that you understand that we understand what our core values are. And so, your core values will align with what your community's core values are. I think that's also very important. You also want people who show up when life gets tough. You want people who's going to be there when you need them. I've had one friend who just put 911, and I didn't ask no questions. I just needed to be where I needed to be once I saw the code, and that's to show up when life gets tough and when life is great. Show up to celebrate those little milestones. You also want to be around people who challenge you to be better who challenge you to be better. I'm not perfect. I have some things that I'm working on. And so you want people to challenge you to be the better you. And that even goes in with holding you accountable. And also, finally, you want to be around people who respect your values and your beliefs. So like I said before, what are your core values? Do you know what your core values are? Find out what your core values are and and you want to understanding that it's respected, and that your beliefs are respected as well. Do you want to add anything, Doc?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds good. I mean, that's a nice full set of um, set of the kind of people that you should include. When I'm in community, I want to be inspired.
Yes.
Um, I look at these movies differently than I used to, but one of my favorite movies was The Social Network, right?
Mm.
The movie about how Facebook was created. And again, so for me, the idea of building community has always been important. Um, I do, really, okay, so let me say, I want to be inspired in community. When I'm in community, I want to be inspired. I
Hmm.
want to be inspired to do something awesome, right? That's always been my heart. Um, I'm still trying. I think I'm still like so as I'm sitting here, I'm being a little whimsical because I'm like looking at, when we talked about church a long time ago. That's what we had in mind. We had in mind this like unique Christian space that was just a inspiring, vibrant place.
Yeah.
It's still time, you know what I'm saying? I love my church community. I ain't throwing no shade at in my faith community. Um, but when one of the things I was just recently talking about with somebody is that we want our communities to reflect our values.
Yes.
Um, Sometimes we inherit communities as opposed to create communities. And there's always, when you inherit community, like you inherit your family, right?
Right.
You don't choose your family, you inherit your family. Some of us who do church, we didn't choose our church. Our church, we were born into a church thing, a church environment. Some of us, so a lot of that. So when you want to be in a space though that provides inspiration, and sometimes you have to build those spaces, right?
Yes.
And there's something beautiful about the journey toward building the space. So I'm inspiring myself even as I talk right now. And then finally, for me, I want to be in spaces that bring me joy
Hmm.
and other positive emotions. But for me, joy pop
Right.
bounds out. I'm not a naturally joyful person, bursting with joy. I'm more of an
No,
intense person.
you?
You need to
No,
stop. You need to stop. You
not
need to
you.
stop. No, I'm not. But if I get around my people, though,
You get around the right people, yeah.
yeah. So I remember one of the happiest moments of my adult life, one of the happiest seasons of my adult life has been when I went to seminary,
Mm.
Lions Theological Seminary. It don't matter. It could be snowing, it could be raining, it could be summer, winter, fall. Man, I got around my ATS people, and that happens even to today. We get around our Lions Theological Seminary community. I'm bursting with joy.
Yeah.
I'm around people that I'm talking about the stuff I love to talk about. We're doing church stuff. It's what we talk about. talking about the Bible, talking about spiritual things, talking
Mhm.
about theology. Those are all three different.
It's inspiring, I see.
Bible is not theology, and theology is not necessarily Bible. They support and facilitate one another. That's a whole different discussion. However, we don't have time for that today. We are going to do some public theology episodes. I'm looking forward to that, and some faith episodes. Um, but when I got around the community, I was with my people, and it brought me such joy. I don't think Sister Paula has ever seen me like
Yeah, it was
that.
a very happy time in your life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for all of us, because if I'm happy, happy spouse,
Happy
happy
house.
house. Right. So that was one of the times that gave me such joy. And I still communicate with a lot of those people. I'm gonna have some former ATS students on the show soon. This is part that's gonna have her people. You gonna have some of your choir members come from back in the day. You gotta do that. You gotta bring some of your choir people
I
and
didn't
some of
even
your
think
Bishop
about
Lockland
that.
people.
Wow.
So let's do that. I'm gonna bring some ATS people. I might even bring me some Dewey people. I don't have no NYU. I went to NYU for 4 years, and I don't really know hardly anything about it because I wasn't happy when I was in undergrad, but I was happy. I was very happy when I was doing my master's degree. So I can't find you hardly any friends from NYU, but I can find you some ATS friends all day long. When I was at NYU, I wasn't part of community. I was a black guy who really didn't know how until the end. I do have one friend. I'm trying not to say any names. Toward the end, I formed community, and my best grades. I had my best grades during that time because I had support. I had friends. But
The
the
earlier
earlier
years,
years,
I
I
was
was
just
just
in
in a sea of
whatever.
whatever.
I'm
I'm
not
not
gonna
gonna
go.
go there, but
I
I
was
was
coming
coming
from
from
Bronzeville
Bronzeville
every
every day into the village, and
was
it was every day was a culture shock for me. Um,
Can I ask you a
so
question?
no, go ahead.
So what was your community? What did you have a community during your college years? Would you
No,
say the struggle was
so
because you had a
so
lack of a
it was a
community?
lack of community. It was a lack
Right.
of community. So it was me and one friend, and we were very close during that time. I won't say the person's name, so I won't blow her up either, but it's a her. But then she eventually left,
Mm.
right, to go to another school, and then so for the first couple of years, I used to be lonely on campus.
Wow.
For the first 2 years of being at NYU was a very lonely time. I would walk around the campus. I struggled to make friends
Mm.
because I was the black boy on a very white campus. Nobody
Mm.
went out of their way to make friends with me,
Wow.
and I wasn't good at making friends on my own. I'm very introverted, so I'm having a hard time initiating friendships, and so I struggled the first couple of years, and then I had to take a break from school because of money. When I came back, I didn't hang around with kids my age. I met another young lady, and we clicked. She was actually pursuing a master's degree in psychology, and I was still pursuing my bachelor's degree. But we were fast friends, and from that moment on, she introduced me to her friends, and it was just a different environment. And then I learned the power of study groups. Like
Mm.
everything you do in community, you do it better. My grades
Yes.
improved, not because I got smarter. I didn't get any smarter. What ended up happening was I I used the power of study groups.
Mhm.
You know what's better than one brain? Five. You
You
know?
take a chapter, you take a
Yeah,
chapter, you
yeah,
take a
yeah,
chapter,
yeah.
and we teach each other the chapters. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Study.
Okay, so you know the power of study group too.
Yes.
Yeah. So at the end, I formed community, and it changed my life. It really did. It was like life changing to the fact that that's kind of the way. Like sometimes you're calling through community.
Mm,
So that's what
yes.
happened to me at the end of
Yes.
NYU. I was at my dad's house. My dad started a Bible study in his home, and I was telling my friends about the Bible study, and we were on campus dealing with a whole bunch of crazy kooks with their little crazy theologies and stuff like that. And so we supported each other. Then they came over to my house to meet my folks and be in the Bible study. It was like such an awesome experience. And that's where I got my passion for teaching the
And
Bible.
that was a community, yeah.
And that's because it happened in community.
Mm.
I didn't see myself as a preacher teacher until about the end of college when I was about to
Mm.
graduate. Like I said, that wasn't in my. I wanted to study economics and then become a lawyer. Um, I wanted to be um, what's that lady behind you? The Supreme Court justice behind you.
Katanji?
I wanted to be Katanji. I didn't have the grades to be Katanji, but I always wanted to study law. And I would have probably been more like a civil rights attorney today. Because that's what my heart is. My heart is always about justice. I wanted to be, I would have been a Thurgood Marshall. And that's why sometimes as a pastor, I do kind of, in me, there's a civil rights, a justice preacher, a prophetic preacher in me that I'm always kind of holding down because of our ecclesial environment. But and so that everything about community is what makes you the best you.
Yes.
Will either temper what you're trying to be. They will hold you back from being who you authentically are. So community is a place where you are going to find where you can be authentic.
So what would you say as a person, you said you're an introvert. What would be your advice to someone who's introverted, who struggles to initiate community? What would be your advice to someone? Because I mean, not everyone is going to go out. Everyone's going to go out and say, "Hi, I'm Paulette. Be my friend." You know. So, what would be your advice? I'm inspired to build community, but I'm an introvert.
Well, that's me. I'm inspired to build community, but everybody, whether introvert or extrovert, that's not everybody's motivation for community. That's my motivation for community.
Okay.
But to answer your question,
connect with the community.
Some people are going to connect on a social level, right? So, Sister Paulette, who is more extroverted than me, will see somebody and say, or my son TJ, or my brother Brian, right? My brother Brian, he walked down the block.
Everybody know him.
In your neighborhood, and everybody know him. So he's gonna make friends that way. The best way for me to make community as an introvert is to connect based on a common interest. So first I find my interest, and then I find my community. So for example, I went to Alliance Theological Seminary to study ministry. And there I found a lot of friends who shared interests with me.
Like-minded.
So now, because that allows you to do the work. And as you do the work, form community.
Yes.
Where I go at the Mary Brennan Inn, I've met a lot of different people. It takes me a while to develop those connections, though. But while I'm doing that, I'm serving. So you serve. People share certain things in common. The extroverts will come and meet you instead of the opposite way. So one way to form community, the extroverted way, is to reach out and say, "Hello, my name is. Would you like to be my friend?" And there's nothing wrong with that. And then another way for more introverted people like myself is, I want to go serve. And as you serve, find mutuality with the people you serve.
Right.
So that's what I say. The introverted way of forming community. You form it through the task. So that's what with Moses and Aaron. God told Moses, "Go tell Pharaoh, let my people go." He says, "God, I can't do it by myself." He said, "I know somebody who can speak." So not only were they brothers, but they shared a common goal. They had a common assignment that bonded them. So it's either going to be the relationship or the assignment, but one is going to come first. I don't like to do things with, like, recently I was telling my wife that I was going to go hang out with somebody. And the moment I said, "Well, how this is going to impact this area of my life?" My wife had to say, "Wait, slow down. Just be friends. Go. Just enjoy the, that's how I think. I'm always thinking about how the relationship is going to foster or help build on something that I'm currently passionate about. And so as I get older and more mature, I'm learning that relationships are for the sake of the relationship itself. And that's challenging for me, but it's something I'm learning. And then I think for other people, it might be the opposite way, that you do need to see, okay. But see, I think that's how people get in trouble though sometimes, right? Like they don't know where they're going with their friend. And so the friend will lead them into directions and places that they never expected to be. Right. You didn't know that you didn't know that your friend was a gangbanger. You just using some wild example. So we have to be intentional in that way.
That's why your core values are important. Yes. Right. And understanding what they are, your core values and your beliefs and what they are. It's very, very important.
Yeah. And that's something we understand now at our age.
But when not at 13, 14.
So for younger people, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
How can two go together? How can two walk together unless they agree?
Right.
So you do have to think about your destination in addition to thinking about your friend. And there's somebody for me that's always thinking about the destination. I got to think more about the friend than the destination.
Right.
That makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
That's some good questions. That is some good stuff. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay.
All right. So how do we build a stronger support system?
Okay, we done. Okay, so how do we build? Yeah, you're right. Let's go. How do we build? Because I could talk about this all day. But okay, how do we build a stronger support system?
Someone's thinking I don't
have that kind of community. How do I build it? Right. So you're thinking, how do I build a support system that's strong? Right. What do you think?
Well, I think that's a great question, and so here are some ways that we can intentionally build your village. One, be intentional about connection. Make time for relationships. Don't wait for people to come to you. I think that's very, very important. And it can be challenging. It can be challenging because you have to be proactive. But even this past week, so I was on winter break this week, and I made a point to connect, and I was able to have two. I was able to link up with two friends this week, and it was just so. It was just so nice just to be able to sit and talk and laugh and catch up about life, about work. One was a current coworker, another one was a former coworker, and it was just so nice just to to connect with those friends. And looking back on my break, I can say I had a pretty good break because I was able to get a lot of things done, but also make connections. So be intentional. I know sometimes it's we have the phone and it's easy to text. But even be intentional in terms of how you communicate. Sometimes you can pick up a phone call or send a voice note, just to connect and just to be intentional about making that connection and cultivating that connection. Yep, that's one. Two, find community in faith, work, or shared interests. Doc, how can you break that down for us?
It's kind of what I said we were talking about before, right? So you asked me about how do I initiate friends, and this is like what I said. So you join the community of interest for you. So whether it's a faith community,
right?
Whether it's on your job, whether it's funny. We was playing golf with a couple of people. We have this really close friend now, and we met him playing golf. Right? It was me and Pastor Marlon. We were playing golf. It was maybe two others, one of us too. And we met this young guy. He was playing golf by himself.
Oh.
He joined the group. And now he's somebody that goes on vacations and stuff with us. You know what I'm saying? So we went out to play golf. We met a friend, and we met a young man playing golf, and he became a good friend. So sometimes it's the shared group. So sometimes it's important to join communities that are already set up. Join small groups. Join professional networks.
Yes.
When I was in college, I joined the NAACP club. I didn't stay on it long, but I joined. Hobbies you enjoy, like golf. Be intentional about those. You could even join communities that are centered around helping you overcome challenging situations, like Weight Watchers. If you're trying to lose weight, join Weight Watchers. If you're trying to overcome addiction, join AA or NA or SA or overeating or OA. There's the different those different movements are built around the idea that community fosters the ability to overcome addiction. Right. It's almost like church. Join the church, spiritual community, right? And when you're in these communities, you're on a shared journey, like I said before, and so it helps to foster.
And I think, and that's awesome that you said that, because I remember during COVID, we had to keep having church, and so we formed this amazing music community where we were making music together week after week. And I was just thinking about it earlier today. It wasn't just that we met on Sundays and we rehearsed. I remember there were times where, two musicians would be in the car chatting for over an hour and they would listen to music and they'd call me. And then I'm on the phone with them for 2 hours just talking about music, or be sharing music throughout the week or just jumping on quick calls or sending voice notes. And we formed this beautiful music community that we were able to make beautiful music together. We were able to serve the church. We were able to grow spiritually, and it was a beautiful experience. And even though that season has passed, even now we're all still connected in some way. I still reach out. I still hear from, the different ones. Many have moved away and moved on to different spaces, but we still have that bond that keeps us connected. So, it all began with the love of music and wanting to serve the church. So, yeah, it's true.
That's interesting that you talk about that. Like, as I'm hearing you talk about this, another good book. I don't know if it's around here anywhere. This is a great book called Exponential.
What's it talk
and
about?
It talks about building church community.
Mm-hmm.
But what you learn, because as I listen to you talk about that, I don't see that book. It's around here somewhere, and I don't feel like getting off camera to find it. But it was really a blessing to me.
So you know what you could do, Doc? You could do it in a mini pod. Find it and do it in a mini pod.
Okay. All right.
Doing it for the mini pod.
But let me talk about this one aspect of it though.
Tell me.
In community, because see, I like to form community. I like to put people in the space to be community. I don't necessarily have to be in the midst of it, right? I don't have to be in the center of community. I just want to form community, and then I wanted to enjoy seeing people be blessed in community, right?
Mm-hmm.
Paulette is a mama bear. You're the mama bear of the community. Why do you laugh? She likes to be there to get her 911 calls. She's gonna be the mama bear, and then you have other people that are, because I think a lot of times in our community we have because I'm a pastor and she's the pastor's wife. She don't like to be called first lady.
No.
That came from me, so I know y'all be fussing. Why we gotta call her first? She don't want to be called first lady.
Not anymore.
So, you wanted to before. Right, Miss Sister Wyatt and then Scooter. But she's a mama bear though. She likes to be the mama bear of the community. Even in the house, that's how she is. Like, even in our home, that's how I'm there to make sure everything is okay. But she's there to make sure that there's connection between the kids and everything like that. So all of us have our roles to play in community.
Yes.
One of the most powerful things about community is knowing my role in the community.
Interesting.
So some people are going to be the mentors, some are going to be the coaches, some are going to be the whatever the community is, right? And then I know sometimes at the place where I volunteer, one of the most challenging times is when new people enter the community because they throw off the chemistry,
the rhythm.
They throw off the rhythm.
Yes.
And you gotta reassign everybody. Everybody gotta come to know that. And so when you enter into a community, it's important that you look at the lay of the land, see how things work before you kind of, and that's for us pastors, that's for us teachers, that's for
us church members.
Be sensitive to the community that you're joining. Yeah.
And be sensitive to the people who are joining the community as well, right?
Yeah, right.
That's important.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. Number 3, be the friend you are looking for. If you want a supportive community, start by showing up for others. Yeah. Be the friend that you want to be. And
you want to show up at important times.
Yes.
There are some moments you got to show up for. Mm-hmm. Somebody getting married, stop everything. Go to that wedding.
Show up.
Somebody had a loss in their family.
Yes.
Somebody died. Show up. People are going to remember. They might not remember what you said, but they're going to remember the face. So-and-so came for the funeral, or they came to do a home visit.
Right.
So there's these important moments in people's life when they ask you to be there. Show up for that. You don't have to show up for everything, but those, man, my hairline receded. It is getting on my nerves.
It's all right. It's all right. Like you're gonna be all right. But you still got a hairline.
My hairline don't want community. That's terrible.
You still got a hairline though.
It used to be. You see where it used to be right here. It used to be like right here. That's just Lord. It's like, amen. But
To God be the glory.
I got a lot of 4.
But you still got a hairline though. Do what you can. Can you put all 4 hands? How many fingers can you put on your forehead?
Girl, don't even start. It used to be forehead. Now it's forehead. Lord have mercy. All right, next. What's the last one?
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Lord have mercy.
Vulnerability
Need
strengthens
help with that word?
relationships. I'm struggling with that word. And I think that has been a challenge for me. I have been in relationships where, I was afraid to ask for help. And looking back, I think the reason why was because I didn't feel it was safe enough to ask for help. So that's why I say spaces, safe, having a safe space is very important.
Okay.
So that you can be vulnerable, because when someone trusts you enough, goes both ways. You have to be vulnerable to ask for help, and in order for you to do that, you have to be able to trust the person that you're asking for help. So it's very, very important. Yep, don't be afraid to ask for help. And I think that's something I had to learn. That's something that my first, that's something I had to learn. I was, let me do it, let me do it, let me do it. And you fall on your face because you couldn't do it. And so I had to learn, in order for me to be successful, in order for me to evolve and to learn, I had to be willing to ask for help. Yeah.
Amen.
So that's something I've learned, and I'm still learning.
Amen. Mm-hmm. All right. So, amen. We wrapping up this segment. What we want to realize here is that that community comes in a lot of different forms. Mm-hmm. So it is family, it's friends, but it's also the place where you serve. It could be online communities. That's what we're learning in this season. A lot of our communities are going to be online. Yeah. And let's not be afraid of that. And we're going to have an episode soon. My friend doesn't even know, but I have a friend that's going to come and talk to us about the future of the church, online church. I really want to talk about that. Different other online communities and how we could foster real, genuine community, not even being in the same space. Right. So anyway, our last segment, the challenges of community and how to overcome them.
Because there are challenges. There are challenges. So let's be real. Community isn't always easy. Relationships take effort. They really do. They take effort and a lot of work. So what are some of the biggest challenges people face when trying to build a strong support system? What are some challenges?
Oh, man. Oh, so this is the hard part to talk about. So I know for me in particular, well, I don't think it's much anymore. Well, no. Okay. So some people struggle with trust. The iteration of that for me is disappointment. I don't like to be disappointed by people. And so when I'm disappointed, and people are gonna disappoint you, right? So when you join community, you gotta take the good with the bad. That people that you love will disappoint you, especially if you've been hurt before. I've been hurt before. There's other people that have been hurt before. So building trust and overcoming disappointment is gonna be something that you gotta endure. Others feel like they don't belong anywhere. I have a friend that we share that many friends who share that with me, and there's issues that take place when you feel like you don't belong somewhere and you're looking for your place of belonging. So right. That's powerful. Let's be honest. Life gets busy. Maintaining relationships, like you said before, it takes time and effort. It takes work. Yeah. I think that's the case. I don't think relationships are supposed to be work, but I think because of the context in which we live, relationships are work. Relationships are supposed to be the most natural thing that happens in our midst. Right. It's supposed to be so natural. Right. But we've been taught to lean on so many other things as opposed to leaning on relationships. Right. Relationships shouldn't be work if we're taught the right things. But we're taught that things are mine. Right. I'm taught to be possessive. And so it's hard for me to share. Right. I'm taught that I have to compete. So it's hard to trust. I'm told that people are supposed to be perfect. So I expect to be disappointed. So we're taught, all the things we're taught about life informs us that relationships are hard. But what we should be taught is that people are just like me. I'm a mess. My friend is a mess.
Mm-hmm.
I change. My friends are going to change. And so what we should expect, if we particularly black and brown people, men and women, we expect perfection out of each other.
Right. And we hold each other to that
and we hold
standard.
each other to standards of perfection that's impossible.
Yep.
As opposed to
Unrealistic.
looking at each other as humans.
Right.
So listen to the way we talk about each other. Listen to the way men talk about women. Listen to the way black people talk about other black people.
Mm-hmm.
We don't accept people's humanities.
Right.
And then when it comes to other people, they're accepted.
Mm-hmm.
We love our president. He can do no wrong. And like, Lord have mercy. So there's a different rule for him, and people like him. But then sometimes for us in our communities, there's no grace.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as there's grace, relationships are much easier.
Right.
Let me just say that. That's my little pastoral piece. And
Repeat it again. Say that again. Relationships.
I forgot what I said already.
Okay.
Relationships, though, take grace.
Yes, I agree. No, I agree.
Relationships are easy. Where there's no grace, relationships are hard. Where there's no grace, I have to always try to show up as perfect.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I have another friend. We went years without talking because we got into this argument. And I think I showed up in a way that he didn't expect me to show up.
Mm.
Whenever somebody in your life shows up in a way that you don't expect them to show up, and you lose, they were your friend all the time. And then there's this one moment where they show up in a way that you didn't expect. They weren't really your friend.
Right.
Because you didn't extend them grace.
Mm.
If your friend can't have a moment of imperfection, they're really not your friend yet. It's only until, and it's not an episode on friendship, but it's a show on relationships. So this is husband and wife relationships, relationships, this is siblings and family members.
Right.
It's not a true friendship and a true relationship until you can extend them grace
from a moment of imperfection. Right. Mm-hmm.
When they do. And there's a lot of people that we hold to unreasonable standards.
Right.
And when we do that, we isolate ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Painful things happen when we don't extend each other grace.
Right.
And we don't accept each other's humanity. I'm not getting choked up because this is choking me up, but because I'm starting to catch a cold. But I've seen it over and over again in my own life. But yeah, me and my friend, we were gonna do some business together, and we started to argue, and then we spent years not talking to each other. We both had to mature, and now we extend each other grace.
Mm-hmm.
I have another friend. We went years without talking because of a moment where we just didn't extend each other grace.
Mm.
When these things happen, and then you lose a lot.
You do.
So I lost 5 years with my friend. Thank God we came back. The other friend, I lost 15 years of friendship. It's because when you don't extend one another grace, each other, you can lose a lot. So that's how communities break down. But relationships are easier when there's grace.
Mm-hmm.
When there's grace.
Amen.
Yeah.
Relationships are easier when there's grace.
When we extend
each other grace.
Grace is something we give.
Right.
Right. Grace is something God gives us.
Mm-hmm.
Grace is something that that we give each other.
Right.
We give each other favor.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We extend each other humanity. Right. So we have to do that as a married couple all the time. Right. We have to extend each other grace. We can either say you meant to do that and you did it on purpose to hurt me, or I can say I know you're human. You're having a bad day. Mm-hmm. I can choose to say you're having a bad day, or I can choose to say you did it on purpose.
Right.
Okay. So it's challenging. But we could build it. We can foster it. We can, let me stop. Go ahead.
All right.
Put it in.
Yes. Here's the truth. Building meaningful connections requires risk and intentionality. If you've been hurt before, healing takes time. But closing yourself off is not the answer.
Lord have mercy. Amen.
Gotta preach.
Gotta preach. And if you feel like you don't belong, then create the space you need. Right. Mm-hmm. So again, There's two ways you could go about it, but you can't do this every time. You can't like go and create new community every time. Some communities, like again, the power of community is understanding, and this is hard in church communities particularly because we expect everybody to be perfect, and so when people show up as humans, that's what church hurt is. Church hurt is comes when we expect the people that say they're leaders to be perfect, but they don't come off perfect. I'm a pastor, so I know everybody's not perfect, and I know I'm not perfect, so I don't suffer as much church hurt as other people. When you expect perfection in communities, you will be disappointed. But create the space you need. Start small, reach out, take steps toward connection. But you need more than one anyway.
Yeah, you need more than one anyway.
You need more than one anyway.
Multiple communities.
Yeah.
Then at the end of the day, having a strong support system doesn't just happen. We have to be willing to cultivate it. You have to be willing to grow it. You have to be willing to nurture it. And so, me being close with a friend when I was 17 was maybe talking on the phone every single day, 3 hours a day, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. But some of my closest friends, we don't have to talk every single day. We don't have to, a week can go by. But when we connect, we pick up like where we left off. So, it takes effort and just learning how to adjust with life. I think that's what helps. You have to cultivate it. You got to grow it. And you have to be proactive. You have to be purposeful in doing it. Especially, so it's easy to be friends when you're in school because you see each other every day. But then as you get older, you have a community at work, you go to work every day. But as you get older and life transitions, especially at the stage we're in now where we are bouncing back, we have to adjust.
Whenever you say bounce back, you got to do this.
Yeah, to bounce back. We have to be proactive in adjusting on how we cultivate those friendships.
So we could.
Those relationships bounce back. Yeah. So
let me ask you a question. I have a question for you.
Ask.
Because I find that when you're young, it's easier to form relationships in community. It is. Why is it difficult as we get older? What do you think the reasons are for it be difficult as we get older?
Well, when you're young, you spend 6 hours a day in the same classroom from first grade to elementary school. Then when you're in middle school, you have a cohort. And you're going from class to class, you have the same lunch period. So you're in a rhythm. You're in a daily rhythm. You actually spend more time with these group of friends than you do with your own parents.
That's true.
You're spending 6 hours a day.
Look at that teacher.
Yeah. Okay. And then same thing with high school. With college, it's different now because not everybody has the same classes. Boom, first adjustment. And then you have those high school friends that you got to try to keep in touch with. You're not in class every day with them. So that's your first adjustment. Okay. Then you have college friends. And, you take the same classes you get later on in your degree, and you end up taking the same core classes because you got the same major. But then you graduate. Okay. So now you have another adjustment because you want to maintain those relationships. You have to be purposeful on how you maintain those relationships because the schedule that you had with them last semester, you don't have now because you're on a new job with a whole new set of people creating new network, new friends. So as you get older, it does get challenging because we don't have that structure in place that demands for us to be together all the time in each other's face. Same thing with church. It was easy for us to have we all went to Sunday school together. We all did fellowship together. We sang on the choir together. We were always together. And if you notice, those relationships shift once people go to college. Some go away. Some stay in the city. Some people get married. Some move away. Some stay. So it's an adjustment. So I think that's why it's a challenge as you get older, because you have to be proactive and purposeful in cultivating the relationship, whereas when you were younger, being together came naturally.
Not that it came naturally, it was structured. It was structured into your life.
That way. Yep.
And so there's less structuring. As we get older, there's less structure in the relationships. Right.
So
we lose our cohort.
Yes, we do.
Where I think in more collective societies, you don't lose your network.
No.
So as like you start, you're with a cohort through elementary school and junior high school and then high school and college. In other cultures, you would work together and you would marry in the same groups and stuff like that.
Yes.
Excuse me. It's getting real bad.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to end the show soon. Anyway.
Yeah, because I even have a friend who who is in a she had an arranged marriage, and they're still married today. But she always shares how he wasn't just somebody that her parents said, okay, you have to marry him. They traveled in the same circles. They went to the same school together. They were in the same community, And so, just like you said, they get married. They get married together in the same community. They have families. They grow their families together. So, again, collective societies is different than it is here. So we have to be. So you have to be more proactive in maintaining that. But I do find it inspiring when I see people still friends with college friends, or still friends with high school, I just always find that inspiring. That I said it again, where you're an adult, say, wow, this is my friend from middle school. Always thought that was pretty.
Amen. That's cool. All right. So as we wrap up today's conversation on community and friendship, I think this is an awesome episode. Here's our challenge for you. Take a moment to reflect. Look at the man in the mirror. No. Who is in your village?
Sorry. I'm done.
I thought you were going to start singing.
No, I was going to finish. No.
Who is in your village? Are there relationships you need to strengthen? And if you feel like you don't have it, excuse me, if you don't think you have a strong support system, what's one small step you can take this week to start building it? Let me ask that question again. All right, here's the challenge. Because what we learned early in the show is this is a life and death thing.
Yes.
The more you're a part of community, the longer you're going to live. So we want, you're not just doing this to do this for emotional health. You're doing this because you want to be able to live a little longer, right? So the steps you take in this week are going to add years to your life. Take a moment then. Who is in your village? Are there relationships you need to strengthen in that village? And if you don't feel like you have a strong support system, what is a step today you can take? One small step you can take this week to start building the community that's going to save your life, help you mentally, and help you to avoid cancers and heart diseases that other people may be affected of.
Shorter span of life. And remember, connection is vital for growth and resilience. I'm going to say that again. Connection is vital for growth and resilience. You don't have to do life by all alone. Your village is out there. Sometimes you just have to take the first step.
First step starts with you.
Yep. They're out there waiting for you.
Yeah. So thank you for joining. Amen. Thank you for joining our show today, the Bounce Back Podcast. If this episode, again, resonated with you, please, again, share, hit the like button, subscribe if you're on the YouTube. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you're on either YouTube or Facebook, share it. We're working to get ourselves on the podcast channels. We'll do that really soon. Follow us on social media. So you can follow us on Facebook. It's simply the Bounce Back Podcast on Facebook. You can join. You can email us and talk to us through email, the bouncebackcommunity@gmail.com with any questions you may have. You can communicate with us that way. You can join us on Instagram at the _Bounce Back Podcast, the _ Bounce Back Podcast, and we put content there too. But we created Bounce Back, and then we have YouTube at the Bounce Back Community. So you go to YouTube, type in at the Bounce Back Community, you'll find our content there. Amen. And this is an important episode. One of the reasons this is an important episode is because Paulette and I want to form community with those who need to bounce back. There have been times in our lives where we had to bounce back from grief, bounce back from disappointments, bounce back from failure, and by God's grace, we were able to do it. So we want to form the Bounce Back community, and so we invite you to be a part of that.
We want a community with you.
Amen. So let us know in our social medias who has been a part of your village. We'd love to hear your stories. We want to
Yes.
share some of those stories. But until next time, keep building, keep connecting, and as always, keep
Bouncing back. Keep bouncing back.
Bye,
Bye.
Bye, y'all. I'm trying to find the music so we can say bye, y'all.